Hello everyone and welcome back to the Spiegel Mom Scraps channel. It's Caitlin here with another process video. Like I mentioned in last week's video, I will be doing another simple technique for using your sequins on your layouts. Today you'll also need some sort of cut file or embellishment to do this sort of technique, but it's really easy and I can't wait to share it with you guys. So today's layout will be a autumnal themed layout. I know it's the middle of winter for a lot of us, but I do have some fall photos I still want to scrapbook, and this is actually for my DC album. And I have one photo and then a pamphlet to scrapbook, and I showed you that pamphlet a little bit earlier, but I do have a pamphlet I want to put in here. So this is also an interactive page. So for this layout, the interactive element does take up a lot of room, so there's not too many design aspects to this layout. It's essentially simple paper layering and then the sequin technique that I'm going to show you guys. And I also did change up my design quite a bit throughout this. I really liked this leaf and acorn little spread here, but I ended up thinking it was way too busy. Even though I do cut it down and get ready to use it, I end up not using it, but that's okay. I do use a bit of it, I think, later on for layering on my photos. So right now I have a lot of elements pulled out. You see I have washi tape, the punched leaves I'm grabbing, I have some ribbons, some tags, a doily. Not all of this will be used. I did want this layout to be fairly simple again because of the interactive element. I thought that it would need a lot more breathing room. So I got rid of the busy pattern paper and then brought in my cut files. I do not have a silhouette or anything to cut files. Jody sent me these a while back, and I'm finally getting to use some of them, and I thought this would be a great layout to use them on. So I'm not sure where the cut file is from or what paper it is, but it is a slight patterned paper with those little leaves there. So here I'm measuring out a block to put behind my pamphlet here. I thought I was going to go with this one, the little acorn one, but I believe I do change that out as well. Now I'm opening up a new washi tape. These are from the Ms. Sparkle little sets at Joann's. There's one that has like leaves and it has a mauve background, and then there's one that's a plaid, diagonal plaid. I go with the leaf one to start, and I actually used a lot more washi on this page than I originally thought. I mean, I used 2 strips, but still that's 24 inches of washi tape that I normally wouldn't use, so better than nothing. So here's where I pull in that orange paper. This one has a bunch of fall words on it, which honestly, this isn't a super fall themed photo or anything. It's really just the pamphlet that's very fall themed and kind of dictated my layout. Here's that second bit of washi tape. It's just a gold polka dot with white polka dots, and that's from Recollections. But like I said, this color scheme was based off of the pamphlet more so than the photo. And I do end up covering up more than the pamphlet than I wanted to, but the pamphlet is really heavy and I wanted to make sure it stayed in its pocket and not ruin the layout, which you'll see me make the pocket a little bit later on. Next, I wanted to add some layers under my photo, so I trimmed a little bit of it off because I pulled out this Kid Memories Berry Blast or Berry Bliss, or it's something like that, paper pad, which is fairly old and I'm trying to use up. But I pull out a couple of those patterns to use behind my photo. The first one is a color reminiscent of the one on the pamphlet here, so I thought that brought in that color again, which I thought was a good idea to bring in more of that light neutral tan color. And then I'm also going to actually use a scrap-ish piece from this paper pad. I must have die cut something out of it, but since there's just a little bit of negative space, I can still layer my photo on top of that, which is perfect. So I'm just going to trim those down, and then I do one more layer later on using one of the larger pieces of the paper pad that I had pulled out, just to kind of coordinate all that together. I almost brought in a blue color, then I decided against the blue. I instead go with the orange that's behind the pamphlet, just to bring in more of that burnt rustic orange color, since it's such a unique color. And I also thought about using that gold paper, but I thought it was a little bit too much. So here's where I think about making the pocket. I realize that some of my cut file will be cut off, so I'm going to end up moving that. But I did make the pocket quite thick because I want the pamphlet to stay in the pocket. I've done these kind of layouts before where the adhesive doesn't hold. I do not think that the adhesive I put on will hold, but I do plan on getting some stronger adhesive so I can put it extra down. And then I'm just going to glue down my cut files. I'm using my fine line bottle, and most of this is skipped out so you guys don't have to watch it. So once those are glued down, I'm going to start working on my other layering elements. I will say that this did take a bit of a turn. The placement wasn't great on these items. Obviously it looks a little bit different when you have everything else down, So it ends up covering a couple more of the leaves than I anticipated, but it ends up looking fine in the end, and I definitely think it'll work out just fine. But you guys can see me making the pocket now, which this is another pattern paper from that DC, or not DCWV, that's from the Craftsmith paper pad. Just a beautiful floral, a lighter pattern, but it's also heavy enough that it competes, or doesn't compete, but it stands on its own compared to the background and the pamphlet and stuff. I just didn't want it to get lost. So you'll see me gluing down again this other side, which is just another the same cut file, and then the photo will go over top of that. So I'm kind of spreading out my cut files a little differently than I originally intended, but the pamphlet will still be able to move in and out of its pocket, which is nice. So here's where the embellishing really begins, and which is the best part of making layouts in my opinion. I pull out a flare and some tags. These tags are from Ellie Studio. It was just a matter of picking which size I wanted, but I like this craft color a lot for fall layouts. And I'm going to be putting that flare, which is from the Crafty Pocket, and it says colorful trees, which again, there were no colorful trees at this event. It's just, it was in October. The trees just weren't changing yet, I guess. I don't know. It's called the Fall Garden Tour, but nothing was super fall themed. I'm just going with a fall theme for this layout because the pictures in the pamphlet are relatively fall themed, so I kind of went with that. I pulled some random orange twine from my stash. This was actually gifted to me in a rack and pocket letter from a crafty friend, and I ended up trying to do a bow, and then I didn't like the bow, so I went straight and then did a little knot, and then trimmed that again, which way too much trimming. I could have saved a little bit more. And then that offcut of a cut file that I'd done on the right hand side, I ended up putting down on the tag here to kind of build out that layout and kind of make a cluster. And then the flare there, and then I also grabbed another little bit of this washi tape of the gold polka dot because I wanted to make sure I had that gold element sparkled throughout. So since that gold element is going to be prevalent in this, I do want to use a couple of the sequin mixes that I love. First, I'm starting off with Earthy Treasures, which has an adorable wood veneer set in it, and then I'm also going to be using, I thought I was going to use Solemnly Swear, which is a red and yellow mix to give more of that fall colors, but I start off with Earthy Treasures because it has this nice cream colored sequin in it, as well as those wood veneers. And I'm going to be filling out the leaves. So I am going to speed this up, and then I'm also using a new mix, which I believe is called Hexa Gold. Absolutely beautiful. I'll have them both linked down below because if these sell out, you guys are going to regret it. That gold one is just stunning. So I'm going to fill out leaves, not all of them, just select ones with my sequins. And you'll see that in the close-up, but I cut a lot of it out just using my tweezers, pick up the sequin, put it on some glue, put it in the leaf, etc. So now that all the sequins are in place, again, I just did a couple of the leaves all around the layout to give it a little bit more of a gold feel and give the leaves some color. I also used some Tim Holtz word stickers and put those down. The fall themed ones are some of my favorite ones. So words like autumn, fall, leaves, those are on there. And I'm also putting some other of the Earthy Treasure sequins around. The clear ones and the wood grain ones I think fit nicely with this layout, and that's kind of going to be it for this layout. I'd have my little journaling spot available in the next to the photo, and then I have all my sequin leaves around the edges. No title for this since the pamphlet kind of serves as the title, but here you can see my leaf-filled sequins. Do you guys ever fill your cut files with sequins? We have tons of cut files in the Spiegel Mob Scrap Shop. If you haven't checked those out already, I'll have those linked down below as well. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let me know if you're liking these tutorials for easy ways to use your sequins on your layouts, because I certainly am. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to use Caitlin15 for 15% off your next order, especially on these gorgeous sequins. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!